Hey there, hope you all are doing well. So the good news is I finally got all the grading caught up. So you should have grades back for everything and feedback on all of your assignments. I'm sorry it's been a tough couple weeks, but it's done and you have your work back. The other thing you may have noticed is I opened a lot of folders. We have everything open. Let me look. I think we have everything open all the way. Yeah, we have everything open through week 12, which is the week the research paper is due. So there will only be 2 folders after that, and they'll be pretty low key, so you can get a pretty good look at everything that we have for the course at this point. So, here we are. We have just completed week 6 and we are into week 7. So the things that you'll be working on this week, you have assigned some readings. I've asked you to read about comparison and quoting, paraphrasing, summarizing, acknowledging sources, and avoiding plagiarism. And all of these are important to the work that we'll be doing for the rest of the semester. So the next essay you'll be writing is your position paper. And the position paper asks you to research 2 sides of your issue. So let's say that you are researching, let's say school start times. I know a couple of you are working with that. So for a position paper, you could look at the fact that some people think that school should start later and that some people think that the school time should stay the same, and why each side believes what they believe, what information backs them up or refutes it. Now, the point of this position paper is not to make your own argument. You're stating the arguments of the 2 sides, okay? When I read this position paper, I should not know what side you are on. That's for your research paper, which is coming later in the semester. The point of this paper is to get you to do some more research and to articulate what the arguments are surrounding your topic, and to get some practice integrating source information and synthesizing information, putting those ideas together. So to do this, you're going to, of course, have to do research, which you all have already been doing, and you're going to have to quote. And when we quote, remember, we are taking the author's words word for word, we're enclosing them in quotation marks, we are integrating them into our text, we're citing them. When we paraphrase, we're taking the author's idea and putting it in our own words. We're using our sentence structure and our own words to convey the idea. You should still give credit, but it should not be in quotation marks. And of course, when you summarize, you take a big piece of writing and you condense it down to its most important ideas. I tell students to think about if they didn't do the reading for a seated class and they know there's going to be a quiz, they come running in, they sit down, they say, so what was our reading about? That's when you want a summary, right? That's what you would get from that classmate. So the reading this week walks you through that. And I also had you read Comparing and Contrasting, and have asked you to read a piece of writing by Bruce Catton, who's a historian who has done a lot of work on the Civil War, called Grant and Lee, A Study in Contrast. And the reason I wanted you to read this is because what Catton does is show you essentially these 2 people. He shows you how they're alike. He shows you how they are different. And he's not really making an argument that either one of them is right or wrong. Okay. And I understand that can be contentious. That's a conversation for another time. But comparing is a very useful skill. We do it all the time, but it's also useful in writing. And you'll notice that comparing works best when you are showing surprising differences between things that appear at first to be the same, or surprising similarities between things that appear to be quite different. And I believe you'll find that Bruce Catton's essay falls into the latter category. So we have that. And you've got 2 assignments to complete this week in addition to your quiz and your checkpoints. One is the sources and sides assignment, in which I ask you to give me the 4 sources for your position paper and the 2 sides you're talking about, so that I can give you some guidance on that. Some of you have already turned it in. I've given some feedback on some of those already. I will be grading those as they come in so that you can move on to the position paper. And then you have a quoting and paraphrasing exercise. For this exercise, I give you a passage from a book on adult education. And I ask you to create the MLA formatted works cited entry for the book. And then I ask you to quote from a paragraph and paraphrase the other paragraph, citing them, treating them as you would in the text. Make sure you do that reading that goes over quoting, paraphrasing, and summarizing, acknowledging sources, avoiding plagiarism, and documentation before you do that assignment. Also, don't stress yourself out. Do the best you can, but it's a low-stakes assignment for a reason. I know that you need some practice with this stuff, that it isn't, you don't just read it and go, oh, perfect, I know how to quote and paraphrase now. I've got the hang of this. I understand that it takes some time and practice. So this is to get you moving on that and to get you some feedback before the essay is due. So that's what we're doing this week. The position paper will be due the following week in week 8. So that will be due on Thursday the 19th. And that's where we are right now. I do still owe you some videos on punctuation. I'm sorry I wasn't able to get those. But hey, you know what? We got through a week without a power outage or a snowstorm or a tornado. Sure, there's a, virus epidemic breathing down on us, but hey, at least we kept the lights on and the network running and we were able to get our work done. So anyway, I'll get some videos done for y'all next week. We will continue with our class. CCCC is on spring break, but I will be here working, so you won't miss a beat as far as I'm concerned. So if you need help, certainly let me know. I hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. I hope the course is going well for you. As always, if you need help, get in touch. Take care.